What's up, you guys? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Bitquest by the guys over at Dr. Scientist. Now, before I get on with the actual demo, I want to invite you guys over to my Patreon account where you can find the backing track that I used for the actual beginning of the video, which all of the guitars on there, all of the different effects on there were recorded using the Bitquest. Yes, even those crazy kind of machine-like type of sounds, that is actually the Bitquest. Now, what is the Bitquest? The Bitquest is actually a multi-effects pedal, yes, in this small little box, which gives you 8 different types of effects and 2 different versions of those effects. So you get a clean version over at this side with the position of the switch, and then you get a fuzz type or distortion type version of the same effect. So technically, it's almost like you're getting 16 type of different effects. What I did to go over the demo is I actually did a patch with each of those different effects. I did a clean patch and I did a fuzz patch, and I'm going to be going right through all of them. But now, before I get on to talking about the actual effects, I'm going to go through the face of the pedal. Now, if you notice, we have a whole bunch of different knobs here. Now, first of all, we have this big clicking knob right here, and that's going to be the button that we're going to be using, or the knob that we're going to be using to change through the different effects in the actual pedal. Then we have all these different knobs right on the side. We have control 1, control 2, tone, gain and control 0, volume and mix. Now we have 3 different controls. They're going to function, all 3 are going to function as controls when you are on the clean position. But once you switch it over to the fuzz position, control 0 actually turns into a gain knob. Then we have tone, which is going to help a little bit with the equalization of the actual presets that you use or create or whatever. You have volume, which of course a normal volume level. It controls the amount of volume that you get. And we have mix. And I really like the mix knob on this pedal because you can literally play around with the mix of the effect that you add. So you get a clean tone, the clean expression of the guitar, the clean sound, your normal clean sound, and you can mix it in with whatever tone you have here. So what that means is you could technically get different sounds, like the clean guitar, the clean signal sounding along with a distorted signal. And I haven't really seen a whole lot of other pedals that can actually do that. Now, the last switch on here that I'm going to talk about is this little toggle switch here, which is what's going to control between playing in clean and playing in fuzz. Now, to go on to the actual effects, I'm going to be going through each of the different effects one after the other, and I'm going to be giving you 2 different setups for each of the different effects. One is a clean setup and one is a fuzz setup. So the pedal actually has flanger, it has high pass and low pass filter, we have a bit crusher, we have an infinite reverb, we have a notch filter, a ring modulator, a pitch shifter, and finally we have some delay. So let's go on through all of those different effects. I'm going to show you 2 of the different ways that I like to set the pedal up for each of those effects. So up first, we have a clean flanger type of sound. Now onto my second position of that flanger sound, and I'm going to be using it with the fuzz position. Next up is the high pass, low pass filter. Now that was the clean tone. This is going to be the fuzzed up tone. Next, we get the bit crusher. here's the clean tone that I got from that. Now next up is the fuzzed up version of the bit crusher with the sample rate reducer. Up next is the infinite reverb. I do two different patches along like all the different ones, but in this one I actually play a little bit with the different variations that you could get with the control knobs. You can see how we actually get an infinite type of reverb. This allows for some really cool, really fun types of dynamics that you can get. Now, a very important point that I want to stress out is every time you switch in and out of these effects, the functions of these different controls actually changes along with them. So it's not like it's control 1 is always going to be gain or modulation or feedback or oscillations. No, it's always going to change depending on the effect that you're doing. And they actually provide a really good manual which explains each of the different functions. And there's just so many different options and so many cool and creative type of sounds that you can get with this guy. That you can even just create different samples and then play around with them on your DAW. It's really a really fun pedal to play around with. Up next is the fuzzed up reverb. Now we have the notch filter. This is the clean setup of that effect. Now we're going to listen to the notch filter going through the fuzz channel. Next up is one of my favorite effects in the actual pedal, which is the ring modulator. You can get all tons of crazy sounds and just play around with it. You can get to the level where you can distort the actual note to the point where the note is not actually defined. And that's really cool because you can play around with a more rhythmic approach, sort of like what Wayne Krantz likes to do. But you can also just set it up in the background and just play your normal type of playing and just listen to the normal sound of the guitar with a little bit of those extra crazy frequencies laying back in the background. And you can do that by playing around with the mix. Next up is the actual ring modulator, but using the fuzz channel. Now we're going to look at the pitch shifter, which is another one of my favorites, because you can get some really cool clean tones a la Steve Vai or Plenty, and you can also maybe make it sound almost like if you're doing some MIDI type stuff if you get the mix all the way up. Now is the pitch shifter with fuzz. Now for this one I decided to go in a whole different direction, and instead of adding that pitch a higher octave, I actually went down. You can sort of replicate the sound of a bass while doing that. It's pretty cool. Finally, we have the delay, and I'm giving you, again, as with all the other patches, two different versions. First up is the clean type of sound with the delay. Finally, here's the distorted sound with the delay. There really are a ton of crazy good, crazy creative possibilities with this pedal. So I totally recommend it for you guys. Check it out, give it a spin. I bet that you're gonna find at least a dozen types of sounds that you're gonna like and enjoy playing around with. I especially think that this is a really nice pedal to use in the studio to get all sorts of crazy type of ambient and background noises or background sounds. Just like at the beginning of the video where I added those little machine type of sounds and textures, you can do exactly the same thing with the Bitquest. Alright, so that's it for this video. Remember, you can follow me on any type of social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm obviously on Patreon. I want to give a quick shout out to all the guys at Patreon for making these videos a lot easier to do through their cooperation on Patreon. I also want to invite you guys over to my website, juanantoniomusic.com, where you can find different lesson packages. You can also find my book, The Art of Scale Weaving, and my 2 instructional box sets with the guys from Guitar Tutorials. Alright, thanks for watching.